Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning. And today we've got another new shell that we've never tried before, and it's one that several of you guys have been requesting to see over the last few months. So I finally found a box on sale at a local shop of mine, so I had to pick some up to see what they could actually do. But as for the shell we've got here today, I picked up some of these. These are some Fiocchi Golden Turkey TSS shells. They are a 410 3-inch 13/16 ounce load of number 9 TSS shot, moving at about 1100 feet per second. And a lot of you guys have wanted to see the Fiocchi Golden Turkey stuff, so when I saw this box on sale, I had to pick some up to see what they could do. I really don't know what to expect. Fiocchi shells in the past have been kind of hit or miss. Some of them are decent, some of them are pretty disappointing to say the least. So I don't know what we're going to get out of these. Hopefully they're a pretty decent shell, but we don't know until we try them. And as for the setup we've got to run them through today, it's been a little while since I brought out this guy, but this is my Mossberg 500 410 turkey. And as for the choke we've got in here today, I figured a good starting point for these would be the Carlson's heavyweight TSS 385 constriction choke. This has been one of the most reliable performing chokes we've tested in this particular 410. It's shown us a lot of good results with shells that are loaded seemingly identical to these as far as specs go. So this should give us a decent starting point to work from. So we'll see what it can do. But as for the test today, everything is going to be the same as usual. The turkey paper's at 40 yards. I've got the chronograph as well so we can get our velocity. So let's get you guys a view of this target and take this shot and see just what these Fiocchi Golden Turkey 410 TSS shells can do through this Mossberg with the Carlson's 385 here today. Okay, so that shell gave us 1244 through the chrono. The box claim was 1100, so we are a little above their claim, surprisingly enough. And for a 410 load of TSS, mid 1200s is definitely a pretty good velocity, considering we typically see down in the 1100s feet per second range. So we've definitely got some good velocity up here, but what kind of a pattern did they actually give us down there at 40 yards? Let's go check it out and see what we got. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is what we got. And yeah, we absolutely have a dead turkey down here all day long. Now, the Birchwood KC is kind of a little bit ugly in the way it flaked off, but we can still see here that there's nowhere on that paper that bird can move to and get away from you. You absolutely would have gotten him anywhere within that area. And the core area, which I think might be just like an inch off to the left, just behind the back of his head, looks pretty even. Definitely not necessarily the tightest or hottest core area we've seen out of 410 TSS shell, but plenty good enough to get the job done. Now back and outside of that is where we can kind of get a better view as to what's really going on here. As you can see, it is a little bit more of a broad and open pattern. We really don't have a ton of big voids or flyers necessarily. It's just a little bit more on the open side. Now, even though it is more open, it's not a bad pattern whatsoever. I wouldn't be scared to hunt with that out to 40 yards. But as you can see around the edges here, we definitely have a little bit larger of an overall spread than we typically see out of a decent 410 shell, like something like a herder's TSS shell. Now again, we really don't have any flyers, maybe that one down there at the bottom left. So this little bit more of a broad pattern screams to me that it might like a little bit more constriction. I'm thinking if we throw the 380 stock extra full choke in that Mossberg, I think that might be the ticket for these. It'll condense it down just a little bit tighter overall. It might get a little bit hotter of a core area to it. And I really think that might be where these shells want to live, is that 380 constriction range. But I gotta say, for a starting point here, that is far from the worst 410 TSS shell that we've tested. That is absolutely a usable pattern all day long. And it definitely has some good attributes going for it already. It's not just thrown all over the paper. We definitely have a little bit of tightening in the core area right at the back edge of his head there. And without really hardly any flyers, I think we can really tune this load in with the right choke. So far anyway, this is looking pretty good. Definitely have a good usable turkey pattern that I wouldn't be scared to hunt with right off the bat. And we definitely have some more room for improvement as well. So I'm liking what I'm seeing here so far from these Fiocchi Golden Turkey 410 shells. Definitely not off to a bad start. Okay, and here's the wad from that shell, and as you can see, it's definitely not very even looking. Now, some of that could have been because it kind of took a nosedive into the ground about 15 yards out or so in front of the camera, so that might have played into a little bit of why it's a little bent up. But what I'm really seeing is, see all those pellets stuck down in there? That's been a very common thing for 410 TSS shells here recently. Now granted, those what, 5, 6, 7 pellets clearly didn't make any kind of a difference for today's pattern, but still, in a 410 shell especially, sometimes you might need those couple extra pellets. And if they're stuck in the wad, they're not doing you any good. So that is one downside so far that I'm seeing for these shells, is pellets getting stuck in the bottom of the wad. As for the rest of the wad though, it looks great other than being a little bit bent up. There's no pinholes or rips or anything like that, no snags. Everything looks pretty well perfectly normal here. I would just rather not see all those pellets stuck down in the bottom there. All right, y'all. Well, what did you think about that pattern right there? I'd say it's a very solid pattern. It's definitely not the best 410 turkey pattern we've seen. I still think that nod probably goes to the herder shells out of my particular setup. But either way, that is absolutely a usable 410 turkey pattern all day long. I wouldn't be scared to hunt with that combo if that's what I had to work with. So I think we're definitely off to a good start here. It's definitely got a lot of good signs to it. It's got a little bit of tightening in the core. It's pretty uniform throughout most of the pattern. We really don't have a ton of flyers. So I think with the right choke, we can really tune this shell in to be a pretty nice performing shell. And it's definitely not bad already. So it's looking pretty decent so far, but let me know your thoughts about it down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these 410 Fiocchi Golden Turkey shells? And if so, what has been your results with them? Would you hunt with that pattern? Would you want to see it tuned in a little bit tighter than that? And maybe is there another choke combo you might want to see it run through? Let me know all that down below. But at the end of the day here, I don't think we can really complain too much about that kind of a pattern. Sure, I'd like to see those pellets that were stuck in the wad actually, be on the paper. But as for the pattern as a whole, it ain't bad whatsoever. I would absolutely use it. It's absolutely a turkey killing pattern out to 40 yards. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.